Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. Gingerbread cookies are a definite sign of Christmas, and they're so easy to make, and they're also fun to make with the family all together baking cookies. So I'm going to show you how to make these admittedly Finnish style gingerbread cookies, which are heavily flavored with cardamom. And then also how to make a frosting that you can use to decorate your cookies afterwards. So to make the dough, first we'll take some molasses. And we're going to measure 2/3 of a cup of molasses. If you remember one of my earlier episodes, I recommend using the non-blackstrap molasses because that'll give you a little bit sweeter taste. It will not have that bitterness that the blackstrap molasses has. So I'm going to pour this molasses in my pan here and turn the heat on. We're going to let this come to a boil. While I'm waiting for my molasses to come to a boil, I'll make the spice mixture. So I have here ground cinnamon, ground cardamom, orange peel, ground cloves, and some ginger because it wouldn't be gingerbread with no ginger. However, we're going to use cardamom the most because, of course, we Finns, we love the cardamom. So I'm going to put in 1 whole tablespoon of ground cardamom. There we go. 1 tablespoon of cardamom. And equal amounts of all the other spices, which is going to be 2 teaspoons each. Cinnamon, ground cloves, two teaspoons, ginger, and then orange peel. Of course, these measurements are all up to you. If you want to have more ginger taste to it, by all means use more ginger. If you want to have more cinnamon, use that too. You could also use some ready-made spice mixtures like pie spice or Chinese 5-spice because they all have the same kind of flavor profiles. Like this one, the Penzeys 5-spice powder has cinnamon, anise, ginger, and cloves. My molasses is almost coming to a boil, so I will pour a cup of sugar in my bowl. And I have here 7 ounces of butter that is room temperature. There we go. And now that my molasses comes to a boil, I'm just going to turn off the heat and pour it in here with the sugar and the butter. And then just mix this so that the butter melts and everything is smooth. Just keep mixing it until all the butter has melted in. Okay, now my butter is all melted. I'm going to add the spice mixture and then just mix it all in again. And now I'm going to add 2 eggs. Also room temperature. Now I'm going to take 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Make sure your baking powder is fresh. I had to go to the store and get some fresh baking powder. Because for some reason, whenever I go use my baking powder, it's always expired. So 4 teaspoons. I'll mix that together with 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now we're going to add the flour into the wet ingredients a little bit at a time. Not everything at once. We're just going to add a little, mix it until it's smooth, and then add more. At first mixing with the spatula, and later on just doing it by hand. There we go. Add some more. We don't really need to knead this. We're not looking for that gluten formation like with bread. We just want the mixture to be smooth. So there goes the rest of the flour. So I'm just gonna switch to mixing by hand. Remember, do not eat raw dough. There's raw flour in here and raw eggs too. Now I'm gonna take a piece of plastic wrap, spread it on the table, and I'm gonna take the dough and put it on the plastic. And I'm gonna wrap this up tightly. This is gonna go in the fridge until tomorrow. But you could also make this well in advance, several days in advance if you so wish. Or you could even freeze it and then make the dough now and then bake the cookies closer to Christmas. Okay, all wrapped and ready to go in the fridge until tomorrow. So now our dough has been sitting in the fridge overnight and it's hardened quite a lot. I have here some cookie molds, the hard one and the snowflake one. These are probably one of the most classic ones. But then of course you have the fun ones like a reindeer, maybe an elf, another elf. With the cookie molds, check which side is the sharp side and which one's the dull side. Obviously use the sharp side for cutting. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to cut this in maybe thirds. This is quite a lot of dough. So now I'm just going to flatten this piece of dough out with my rolling pin. And now you just take the cookie molds and we're just going to stamp out a bunch of cookies. This is of course the fun thing you could do with the children. That's all right. And then just take the rest of the dough, roll it into a ball and start over. These are now going to go in a 400-degree oven for about 5 minutes. Depending on your oven, keep an eye on them. Make sure they do not burn. All right, so let's make frosting. So I have here the white from one large egg and about 5 ounces of powdered sugar. We'll whisk this for a couple of minutes. Now that it's noticeably thicker, I'm just going to pour it in my piping bag. And now you can just get creative. And here we go, bunch of Finnish cardamom gingerbread cookies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.